Sunday, and the station is Atlantic Television Network, and the program is Atlantic Sunday. Atlantic Sunday is a syndicated live program of the network, featuring chit-chats and conversations on special interest topics, on news events, and stories through correspondence reports, expert opinion, and stakeholders analysis. If you have been in touch with what's going on in Nigeria, you find out that we have so much on our table as a country, stories from here and there. We have this report coming from Adamawa State, where it says that government warns residents of second flood wave. And a story on the presidency, we have reports that Tinubu is to replicate China's infrastructure in Nigeria. And on the economy, Tinubu is ready to make critical decisions for development. On economy again, the federal government reiterates commitments to steel sector. And on health, the Reps Committee pledges to end medical tourism. On education, we didn't stop underage students from WAEC. Minister stated that one. And on fuel scarcity, hike has worsened our operational difficulties. This is from MAN. And then from the US, we have a report concerning the school shooting. Remember when that was reported that there was a shooting in a particular school by a 14-year-old? Well, the suspect's father has said that the weapon that was used in the shooting was a holiday gift to the students. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll let you know who my amiable guests in the studio are, also let you know my name, and we'll delve straight into the details of the story. Please stay with us. It's a pleasure knowing you're still with us. Thank you so much for standing by. With me in the studio is Ikechukwu Stanley Edenko. He is a public affairs analyst, amongst many other things. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Edine.
Welcome.
Good morning, all our esteemed viewers all over the world.
Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure and happy Sunday to you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And joining us also on Atn Sunday is Joshua Victor Okon. He is a legal practitioner. Good morning to you, Joshua.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. And that would be Barrister Joshua, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so we're looking at our first story now. Following the heightened fears amongst the residents and stakeholders in Adamawa State over the return of a fresh wave of floods, the state government has directed the residents that settled along waterways to relocate to highlands. The government's directive came on the heels of a balloon size and again worrisome heights of River Benue, which is one of the major sources of flooding in the state. As a result, more local governments have started expressing massive flooding after the deadly Madagali local government area flood in northern Adamawa State that claimed over 11 lives. Now, while addressing victims of the Madagali flood last week, the governor, Amadou Fintiri, whose village was not spared but also submerged by the flood, advised the people to relocate to highlands, warning that the worst has yet to come. Because according to him, when the Lado Dam water is released, the flood situation will become worse due to climate change and other human activities, which include indiscriminate trees felling, and he called on the federal government to intervene. Yeah, let's get your thoughts on this story.
First, I think the government in its wisdom has been quite proactive this time around, warning the people. And once you warn them, there are a certain level of precautions that should be taken. But this boils down to another question. Which arrangement or alternative arrangement are you making for these people? Are you telling them to relocate just to highland, to stay under open heavens? Or there should be some camps where these people will move to, so that within that period, there should also be some form of relief. There should also be some of incentives that should be given to them, because first, their source of livelihood is gone. Secondly, if you know children that are in school, you make provision for small school environment so that the children will also be part of the academic calendar, no matter how small. The insane climbs, they make provisions for this thing. You don't just ask people to move. Where are they going to? How are they living in that place? What provisions are you making for them?
Right, so that's also what should be looked into.
Yes,
but you said that the federal government has really been proactive this period.
No, I said the state government has been proactive by warning the people to move. At least in my place, there is this local parable that says that any rain that comes with strong wind does not meet a cripple on the way, because the cripple will now move faster to a shelter position. The only rain that meets cripple on the way is the one that comes without wind. So this one now, they have been warned. So it's for them now to move. But while they are moving, what provisions are you making for them to make their stay there something that will be manageable, not just memorable or worthwhile?
Okay, but is this warning even early enough? There's already flooding. We already have cases of flooding in various states.
I think it's a warning for those whose places has not been affected.
Okay.
Because basically, if you see your neighbor, it's coming from your neighbor's side. All you need to do is to take precaution and they make the necessary movements.
And then for the places where the flood has already submerged?
Well, there should be provision for relief material, some form of security, and medicals, because at the end of the flood, they'll come with some reptiles and other things that will not go back with the flood. So the place should be adequately fumigated, well taken care of. But the most important thing, there must be security of lives and property. Very important.
How proactive would you say we are? Talking about, by we, I mean the government in general. This is not the first time we're having flooding in Nigeria. Even some of these states that have floods right now, it's not the first time they're having this. So there's already the ideology that once it gets to a particular time of the year, there's probably going to be this situation. So how proactive would you say the federal government or state government have been?
Oh, well, I don't think, I think they've been a little, if we'll give them some credit, but much has not been done in that area. because this thing, we know that these things, especially that the Lado Dam, that's always almost released yearly. These things happen yearly, and nothing has been done to curb it, because now we're expecting it to come again, and it to come heavier than what has come. And that is why they've been warned to leave, so that they will not be affected when it comes heavy. And so this is a occurring something. There should be some measure to curb it even before it happens. I believe proactive means doing something or taking measures before it actually happens, and that has not really happened.
Okay, so you don't think enough measures have been taken?
Not enough have been taken. Otherwise, we won't be having these casualties, almost 197 now, this year. It's something else.
And
so,
I don't think the people who lost their lives, you know, saw that the flood was there, had where to go to, had the means of living, and just decided to stay there.
Of course they don't. Because if there were provisions for places for them to go to and take shelter, they will go. Who wants to die? Nobody wants to die. Who will stay there? And these things, probably they are not equipped with the information that such is coming. But we have these things, these bodies who are in charge of, should I say, we have the NEMA, yes, and the rest of them. They have information coming to them concerning weather and all that, and they didn't do that, and these people become victims. Though we can't say the government is not trying, we can't say nothing has been done, but we say that they are not doing enough to secure the life and property, which is the main function of the government.
All right, Kechiku, you wanted to come in there?
Yes, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, I believe they have in-house meteorologists who take care, who looks at the weather and forecasts. Then the people too, they should have some kind of knowledge. When I mean knowledge, because of occurrences over time, it has formed some form of empirical data for them, yes, which within that period they should move. But like you rightly said, the government should also make provision where they are going to adequate IDP camps, where even if it's not memorable, it's not, but it's let them have some form of safety, access to clean drinking water, food, toilet facility, and there's some form of relief. Then the children who are of school age also, they should have some form of holiday schools for them so that they don't stay idle.
You know, we used to hear, oh, move to higher ground, move to higher ground. This is going to happen in this place. And then you ask questions like, move to where? Like, move to higher ground, like there's some accommodation in some higher ground, you know, that they'll just pack their families to move to higher ground. You think the people don't want to move to higher ground? Yes. Especially when we have cases where there's already flood in that state. This is not the states where they say flood is coming. Exactly. Where there's already flood, and then you're telling people submerged in that flood to move to higher ground. You think they like where they are?
But there should be provision. Adequate provision. First, shelter, security within that environment, then basic amenities for them. Given the fact that having moved from their ancestral home or their ancestral domain where their means of livelihood is, you need to make provision for them. No matter how small.
Yes, and again, now they have to move to higher ground. Definitely there will be population explosion in those areas. What are the measures to curb what will happen at that place? Because right now there's food shortage in Nigeria, and when you move this particular group of people to another location where there are people already, it inflates the population in that area. What are the measures to curb this population growth and also some level of, because they will need an additional level of security as well in those areas. So what will the government do to those people that are moving, and what will happen to those places that they are moving to?
And also talking about the provisions that should be made. You know, a lot of times we see these provisions being made. We hear that, oh, in this primary school, it's usually public schools most of the times they use, oh, they're in this particular primary or secondary school, that's where the people are. Oh, the government is providing relief materials, food items, and all of that. We hear this in the news, so interesting. But at the end of the day, when you get to converse with these people, that's when you find out that the food products that are even brought in sometimes do not go around to everybody, just a few people. And then you find out that the amounts that the government has said was released for those items to be purchased is not equivalent to what you are seeing on ground. So these are some of the challenges that even come with the provision. You say government should provide for that, right? The government has provided, but these are the challenges that we get to see when that provision comes.
I think where they have failed first is in the area of monitoring. Once in the area of money, you can make provision, and if you don't monitor it closely, you might get to the wrong hand. You might not even get to the destination.
Okay.
Yes.
So they should monitor closely. You don't think the monitoring system is adequate?
It's not adequate.
And you want to add to that?
Yes, yes. And I think there's I don't know, it could be, but I know it's true, something flying on the internet that most times it's not the government, it's the people around the government. Government will make a policy, try to promote a particular agenda, but the people with which this will be committed to will fail to carry it out. And so in states like this now, and what has happened now, the government has made a pronouncement giving people forewarn and warning them to move to a higher place. I'm sure probably they have something in mind to provide, but when they do this thing, they should as well monitor it, set up a committee that has integrity, because we need people of integrity to actually do it, because we all have our families. And of course, when something comes to you, we tend to want to take our family first. And that is not how it should be. When something comes like this, those people that are affected should get it first. But sometimes when you go there, those people, they're hardly provided for, because somebody somewhere have maneuvered this thing and diverted it to some other places, which is not so. So I think the monitoring is also very, very important to make sure that these things achieve their desired aim.
And even the places that are usually provided, sometimes these places are provided due to the fact that it's, you know, an emergency relief. These people are already victims of the flood, so let's just look for where to move them to. And then every time this happens, it continues to be an emergency. Why? Why does it always have to be emergency measures, or should I say reactive measures?
First, I think it has to do with the stubbornness of the people. Secondly, lack of alternative place to go to. That's why I see them most times they procrastinate before moving. If you know that where you're going to is safe, no need for you to stay at home and wait for the flood to ravage your environment before you move. Secondly, as you're moving, what's the security arrangement for other things you're leaving at home? Because basically, even if you move your personal effects, by the time you come back, they might vandalize your house. We have cases where most times they even deroof people's houses. They remove windows. Everything now is a high level of theft. So that's also another problem, because there are some things you cannot move. There are some things you must leave at home when you're moving for flood.
Sure.
For those of us who come from the coastal area, even if I didn't grow up out at home, but at least I've heard stories and I've also seen with my eyes. So I know what it takes to be affected by flood.
What about the government providing these places before the flood comes?
There should be, but where will they use as IDP camps?
They know the higher grounds that they're asking the people to move to.
So they should establish
It's just like in
IDP.
River State. It's just like in River State. We've had cases of flooding in River State. In fact, we have been warned now that there could be a possible flood in River State, that possible flooding in River State due to the same reason that we are one of the states that have been warned. But then we're saying we already know some of these places that are prone to have this flooding that they are talking about. So the government should know the higher grounds in those states.
Of course, they should know the higher grounds and also make provision for alternative arrangement for these people. It could be permanent IDP camps. It could be public schools. But there should be provision for these people. Then another question again, if you're making provision, which number of persons are you expecting? Because there are times you will ask maybe like 2, 3, 4, 5 communities to move into one public school, which wouldn't be even enough for one community. You discover that 4 communities are already living there. There's also a problem for that. And that's where we have sometimes explosion of communicable diseases.
Exactly.
And that's really, when you say where could they use for IDP camps, are you trying to say that they probably do not have enough space? Is that what you're referring to?
In River State, for example, where is the IDP camp that government has established? Bayelsa State, do you people have a permanent IDP camp? No, they always use public facilities. Sometimes you even tell people to go to the field where they set up tents during flood. It comes with rain. You tell people to move from their ancestral home to places that are even worse than their ancestral home.
All right, you want to answer for me?
Not
on measures that the government should put in place to, curb the effect of the flooding, because flooding is a natural disaster. Can it be completely stopped?
It can't, and that is why we're having these incidents over and over again, because it's not something you can kind of put a particular measure. Just that you have to be dynamic in these things. You have to be dynamic, because I think if you look at it, it occurs, the time of occurrence varies, and that is why sometimes it's very difficult to predict, because when you're expecting it to come at a particular time, no, there's this kind of flood that comes to River State. The query as is, they say it's every 4 years. Sometimes climate change can alter that, and it comes even within 2 years. And those things, now maybe government have planned for a 4-year interval, and now it is coming before that 4 years. Now it disrupts the plan, and they have to. That is why the government have to be proactive in these things, and also in a way put try to how do I put it now? They try to
put measures on ground.
Put measures on ground, but again, that be dynamic, because when this thing comes, like, especially this flood, it's a natural something. You don't begin to you don't say you've made a plan for next year and it's coming now. That's not an excuse. It has happened. It's happened. What are you going to do? So the movement of people to a place of relief is something that they should have in mind already, because I know each year, I don't know, but I think I'm not too versed with that information, but I think each year there's a prediction on how the climate will be a particular year.
It's gone more advanced than that.
Exactly. So if there are things like that, then our government cannot be said not to be aware of these things. They can't be said not to be aware, and that is why sometimes when this thing happens, you blame them. We blame them because you're privy to this information beyond every other person. And so why are you not acting on it? Why don't you put measures to curb it before it even happens? But now that it has happened, I think what they are doing, like what the governor of Adamawa State is doing, is welcome. Right. Is welcome. Yes, giving them that information, trying to make them be aware, because that is the only way they can fight it with the people. You can't do it alone. Give them that information, helping them to prepare that something is coming, move to this particular place, and what they should do, prepare that place before they get there. Because sometimes they go there and they are one corner while the place is being prepared. The place is not ready for them at all. So you prepare it, put everything that you know that they will be needed even before they get there, so that it makes life.
Nature has 3 basic problems: food, shelter, and clothing.
But how would the hunger be handled if we do not have some infrastructure in place?
Infrastructure, for me, it only affects that area where it's being done, because the rural economy during the construction process tend to benefit from it within that area, because there are a lot of economic activities that goes on with infrastructural development. Okay. Arrival of construction workers, rural economy, giving employment to the host community. But beside that, there is so much hunger in Nigeria at the moment, which should be addressed. And we know the root cause. Our economy is power and petroleum. In fact, first, power driven. Because we don't have adequate power, we've gone for alternative source of power, which is the petroleum. Very few people have access to renewable energy. So first, you address these 2 basic problems. Before you even talk of infrastructural development, at this point, I'll be very blunt. Everybody knows what is happening in Nigeria within the last 1 year and 4 months. It's not been easy, it's not been funny. And I must really appreciate Nigerians for our level of endurance. In fact, Nigerians are if you check all over the world, we are the most patient people.
It's like we're patients now listening to you explain to us about how it's affecting you. But then on infrastructure, don't you see that as a move to tackling the current and primary issues in Nigeria?
It depends also. It depends infrastructure, like he said, does it the area of infrastructure we are talking about here.
Yeah.
Right now we know that there's serious hunger in the society, and there's food shortage, and also there's scarcity, inflation. Now infrastructure will come in there, though at some point I agree with him. But again, I think we need a little bit of infrastructure, because what is happening to the economy now is because of most of the infrastructure are out of date. I mean, the decay, need to be upgraded. You go to some of the offices. Some of the structures we have, you see how dilapidated they are. And you imagine how somebody will be in those offices carrying out administrative work.
Now, sorry to interject you at this point. Talking about infrastructure, that we need infrastructure. First, the kind of infrastructure that should be a form of need assessment to know if these infrastructures are actually what the kind of infrastructure we need at this point. First, the power sector, if we must develop in that area. Okay. Then the petroleum sector.
Yes.
Why is it that we've been depending solely on imported fuel?
Exactly.
Why can't they invest massively in that petroleum sector so that we also
We have invested massively in the petroleum sector.
I don't think so.
We have not invested massively?
We have not.
Well, recently, data...
We wait to see what will happen. I think the recent news is that Port Harcourt refinery will kick off by... Is it October or December this year?
No, August.
No, it has been moved. It was August. It had been moved almost.
No, it was moved. It was moved to August.
Yes,
which is last month.
Yes, and now
the one they said before the end of this year, which is December, we're looking at the Kaduna and Warri refinery. But for Port Harcourt, it was specifically noted to be August last year.
August.
Last month.
Yes, but I think there was another news concerning it being more functional by December, before December this year.
That's the Warri and Kaduna refineries.
Okay.
As an individual, it has been proven that governments are not managers of this kind of things, this kind of business. Governments should divest. They should just, NNPC should just be confined to sale of crude and coordinating the joint venture operation. The area or process of refining should be left for investors with real money who are business minded. Of course, it all happened in telecommunication in this country. At some point, telephone was for the rich. Today, I doubt if there's any person who doesn't have 1 or 2 lines.
Even children.
And why did it happen? Because they allowed investors to come in with their corporate mentality and money. And before you know, once there's this healthy competition, prices will drop. The only thing that brings down prices, liberalization, is competition, healthy one, where forces of demand and supply will stabilize price.
Yes.
You don't talk about the Port Harcourt refinery, which you mentioned, the resumption date. This is something that has been on for years now. I don't know if you know, but they have been, giving us dates for the resumption of Port Harcourt. So even if, let's assume, like you said, we were told again after August, we're now told, oh, sorry, it's no longer August, it's now before December, right? Like you said. Let's assume that's the case. You sound like you have so much confidence and assurance in this particular promise.
Assurance? If you say faith, I will say yes. But if you say assurance, because I have faith. Faith is what we don't see, or we believe it.
Preach.
So we're having faith that because this is one of the areas that will really solve some of our problems in this country. That is just so that is why we are hopeful. We are hopeful, because if we say confidence or assured, no. But we are just hopeful that what they've said, they should do it. But with the log of statistics, we know that also we have some level of that as well, because these things have been going on for a very long time now. You hear government tell you something and you see another thing at that time. So it's been like that, but we are still, because that's the thing that is keeping us alive in this country, hope. Because, yes, because if we see what is happening now, people are just, it will get better. And that is what is keeping people alive. Not because they don't, people even feeding, we don't have enough to eat. But because we believe that someday to get better, we say, okay, let's keep press on, let's keep pushing to that better time. So we are hopeful that before December, the refineries, Port Harcourt especially, which I'm a bit aware of, will come to operation. And that way, we see it actually curbing this issue of an excessive hike of petrol price in Nigeria.
You should really be brought into this. Yes, you're going to say something.
I can tell you for free
okay.
that it will not work. See that Port Harcourt?
You're not being hopeful.
Exactly. We need to be hopeful.
Any day, if I come here today and say, tomorrow I'll give you XYZ amount.
Yes.
And before that tomorrow, I call you and say, CEO, it's no longer visible. I will give you next tomorrow. Before next tomorrow, I say, okay, there's something happened. Let's make it next week. Will you have faith in me anymore?
Well, not being lenient, actually, yes. Because we didn't have a situation where they came to meet us before the time and said, oh, it's no longer. We were the ones who came ourselves and said, wait, but you told us August, and this is September. What's going on? And I said, oh, don't worry, it'll be functional before the first quarter of next year. And then nothing is said, no explanation is made or done. We don't hear anything like that. Yeah, you are going to come up with something.
Sell the refineries to willing investors, even at zero kobo.
We'll talk about that. Yes.
Nothing to add. It's just that, like what he said, if the scenario he gave, if I will still be hopeful, well, I'll still be hopeful, because first of all, that is what life is all about, being hopeful. And you rightly said, Nigerian, we are the most patient people. So
where do you think that patience has taken us to?
Exactly.
And that hope, where do you think it has taken us to?
It has not taken us anywhere, but it has helped us survive this period. Survives in a way that is unimaginable. If you see, some people even hardly secure 1 square meal. I mean, we are not talking about the balanced nature of the meal. Just something to just feed their stomach in, and yet it's not easy. It's not easy at all. So if the president wants to develop infrastructure or revamp our almost decayed infrastructure to help the economy and boost a livelihood, it's okay. It's good. If we can replace what China has done, really, it will be a good thing, because we know how China has grown over the years, and we know
China.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let me ask you one question now.
Okay.
The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, of what use it is? When the existing east-west road that even links the west down to Calabar, how good is that road? How long have they been walking east-west road? You have not even completed the east. You are now opening a coastal highway. We are not done with that. They are also proposing Sokoto to Lagos, Abi Lagos to Sokoto highway. For crying out loud, the kind of infrastructure we need are infrastructures that will add value to us.
Okay, you mentioned concerning the refineries now, you mentioned earlier that the government should just take their hands off the refineries since they've not been able to.
If I have a car and I've been trying to fix that car for years, it's not working, the only sane thing for me to do at this point or at that point is to look for somebody who can salvage the car and sell it to him so that I don't go gaga.
So you think we should sell it off? Because recently we heard reports about lease, right? Concerning the Kaduna, I don't know if you heard a story, the Kaduna and the Warri for 5 years. So these guys should come in, BDAS should come in, whoever wins should come in, and then revamp the refinery, start operation, give a particular amount to the government.
Let me tell you, even if it's lease with the way Nigeria is now, they might end up selling it or leasing it to their cronies. See what happened in communication when Nitel couldn't. Our tele density was low. But by the time the first two communication companies came into Nigeria, we all knew what happened. It was a catalyst. And phone became accessible. Third one came, and other broadbands. Today, you see the tele density very high. We have access to broadband, even at your fingertip. So these are what healthy competition does. If they sell NNPC to willing investors who have the money, the capacity, and also encourage others to come where they establish modular refineries.
Sell NNPC or sell
the refineries. After all, somebody bought NNPC 49%.
Yeah, we heard that it's
49%. So they should sell the refineries. They should take their hands off that area of refining.
Okay, all right. I think the
just
government...
like what Nitel is doing today. Nitel, what the only thing they provide for these communication companies is the gateway, where they still pay. So NNPC could also streamline themselves just to the sale and supply of crude. Let these people do the refining and sell to us.
All right, I understand that grievance that would make you say sell NNPC. but then let's get to look at this next story. This next story has been, it has made the internet hot. You know, it has heated the airways. President Bola Tinubu expressed readiness to make tough decisions to advance Nigeria, despite the challenges of achieving national consensus. Speaking to Nigerians in China during his visit, Tinubu highlighted his decision with Chinese leaders and his focus on enhancing cooperation in various sectors. He emphasized the importance of discipline and commitment, drawing inspiration from China's progress, and he reassured the diaspora of Nigeria's bank support for leveraging investment opportunities and stressed the need for significant reforms, including addressing fuel price hikes. He also outlined his commitment to improving Nigeria's infrastructure, education, aiming to replicate China's success. Now, we actually had a particular paper that gave the heading of this story to be that President Tinubu said he is ready to take tough decisions to move Nigerians forward. And Nigeria said, does it mean the decisions you'll be taking are not tough? So what will happen if tough decisions are taken? Where are we going to start from? I've been seeing comments and it has been really funny.
For me, if he says he's going to take tough decisions, I wish him well.
But don't you think that's what we need now?
No, that's why I said I wish him well, and whatever he sees at the end, he should take.
At the end, what do you mean by whatever he sees at the end?
There are two sides to every coin.
What's the other side to
this coin? If you toss a coin up without interference, it's either head or tail.
Yes, Joshua.
The thing is that since he assumed office, he has been taking tough decisions. And we know that really tough decisions, but sometimes maybe now it's tougher ones. Maybe okay, he wants to take tougher ones, but is that okay? We can say we need this kind of decisions because to drive an economy, you need a tough decision, but you need a right mindset. You need right implementation as well, not just taking the decision and leaving it to wallow or rumble on its own. He took a decision, removal of subsidy. Where has that gotten us? Because we expected that with the removal of a subsidy, though there will be hike in petrol, but there will be other things will improve. But now, and at a point, the Nigeria Labour Congress, they said they came to an agreement for the 70,000 minimum wage because the president promised that he will not increase the pump price anymore. Now, what has happened? These are total decisions that has impacted negatively on the economy and on Nigerians.
The federal government has told us that they are not in charge of pump price, and they're not in charge of fixing the price, so it's not on them.
Who imports?
The NNPC.
NNPC imports.
So who fixes the price?
No, these are very rational questions. They say they don't want to interfere with the price, they're not going to increase the price. So who does the import? Who does importation? It's still them. Okay. They say subsidy is gone, but you and I know what's still happening to subsidy. See, doing the same thing about instinct, the same way, and expecting a different result is the simple definition of madness.
You know, there's something I want us to talk about. Joshua here mentioned having hope and, you know, believing in Nigeria. And according to him, he said that that has really helped Nigerians. That has really helped us to be resilient. It has really helped us to pass through. You know, when I say pass through, I mean pass and then come out of it, right? Pass through the challenges that we have been facing all this while with different administrations. I remember when an administration will come and we'll think that will be the worst.
Exactly.
And then another one will come and will be like, oh, the previous one was better, can we go back? And then another one will come. That has been the case. And then you said that Nigerians are very patient. You know, there's a saying that if you can survive in Nigeria, you can survive anywhere
in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Now, I want to ask a very critical question. How far do you think this has brought us? How do you think this our resilience and, you know, patience with the system has affected the doings and the workings of leadership in Nigeria?
That's what has brought us to where we are.
Our patience.
No, when I mean our patience, it has made some people believe that Nigerians are docile in the face of obvious challenges. Because there's a level to which your patience will get to, it becomes a form of docility. That means you cannot even react in the face of obvious challenges. I liken Nigeria's economy to a patient in coma. And for you to take a patient in coma into the theater for surgery, what do? You need to bring that patient out of coma. Stabilize the patient before even passing through the knife. You don't take a patient that is in coma into the theater for surgery. So Nigeria's economy could be likened to a patient in coma. You need to stabilize the patient before putting him through the knife. So the economy needs to stabilize before even bring up certain policies to drive the economy. You want to drive people who are dead?
Who is dead now? We need to correct that. Yeah, Nigerians are very alive. We're not dead.
Very, very alive.
Yes.
Like you said, exactly. Even Nigeria can be likened to that. But again,
I didn't say that the economy.
The economy
yes.
can be likened to that. A person in coma needs to be stabilized. But sometimes there are certain policies. You need policies to actually bring about that stability. And that is where our government has failed up, because they've not really been able to implement certain. They have good policies. So if you see you see certain reforms that have come up, but maintaining it has been the problem. Maintaining it, because that is what will actually bring about this stability in the economy. But the mode of implementation, the channels of implementation have not really been keeping up to the task. That is a problem. Okay. With a Nigerian government, because if you see, they are very sound. They are very when they want to talk now, you see how they talk very big, very loud, and in fact, you want to silence every other noise just to listen to them, because you want to get everything they are saying. But after this big talk, what do we see? Nothing. Nothing.
Yes, Ikechukwu, we're going to come in there.
For me, like I said, the petroleum refining. For me, government should hands off it completely.
But they already took a step and you're not still in support of that step.
I am not. Why I say they should hands off? Let people come into this business. Any business you're doing and you want to monopolize it, that means there's something you are gaining which you don't want the other man to be part of it. Let's have refineries. Allow people set up refineries. Then the ones we have here, let them work. If they sell it off, people will buy.
Of course.
All right, at this point, we'll just take some minutes off, and then after that, we'll be back. We have other stories for discussion. It's really interesting in the studio, and we want you to stay right here with us on ATN. Please don't go anywhere.
I don't know.
Alright, thank you so much for standing by. It's still Atn Sunday right here on Atlantic Television Network. The next story we're looking at is on steel development. We have reports that the Steel Development Minister, Prince Abubakar Audu, has reiterated the federal government's commitment to revive the steel and metal sector. Well, he made this known when he visited African Natural Resources and Mines Limited, Gujeni Village, Kagagko local government area of Kaduna State. Prince Audu hailed the company for its investment in Nigeria and for operating in the country since 1971. He said the company's investment has contributed to the economic development of the country, so he has taken it upon himself to say that for the 900 hectare iron ore mining facility where they invested about $600 million for backward integration to facilitate the production of steel. Let's look at how much is being done in our steel industry in Nigeria, because this is a foreign company that is being lauded here.
Well, for me, it's okay that a foreign company came in to invest in our steel industry. It's a good thing. But the other question we need to ask is that, one, how far have they gone with their investments? The return on investment, is it really commensurate to what they have put in? Doing business in Nigeria, any person that is doing business in Nigeria, I praise that person, because we have a kind of business environment that is so much uncertain. Multiple taxation, government policies here and there, it's not really stable. So for any company that's been doing business in Nigeria since 1971 to date, that means they've actually done well. But they say to him much is given, much is also desired. There should be room for improvement. Like I always tell people, that the largest room on earth is a room of improvement. It has no limits. It's only as far as your eyes can see.
Right. Also, there's room for improvement in that sector, steel sector. Your analysis.
I don't have much to say in that area, but still, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a welcome development, because we want to see how we can lessen the over-independence on crude per se. So if there's a means to develop other or enhance production of other mineral resources in the country, it's a welcome development.
All right, let's look at the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Because if we talk about need for improvement, room for improvement, then we should also look at other people getting involved. We should look at room or provisions where Nigerians who are interested can also get to invest. Do you think the environment is easy or conducive, absorbing enough for people to want to get into different sectors privately in Nigeria? Barrister?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because in times like this, actually kind of time that people leverage on to expand their business, come into business and grow their business. So every state of affair of a country, of a state, is a good time for business. Okay. But the thing is that Nigerian case is peculiar because we have certain lapses which the government need to work on to encourage people to come into business in this country. Okay. We have the power, we have the security, and many others. And these are key areas that can affect the growth of business in any nation. So if we can, if government will want to work on the power and beef up security, then I think Nigeria is a good place for business. It's a good place for business. We have the population, the market is here, and we have certain amount of raw materials here that can be used to produce virtually anything. So it's about the government now making the environment a free playing ground for investors to come in. All
right. Well, what do we expect the government to do more in making it easy for investors to come in, and not just outside investors now, foreign investors, even local investors?
First, we have some challenges. Okay. Like I said, our economy is power-driven. And once you don't get the main source of power, you look for alternate source of power, which also puts pressure on petroleum products. So if there's massive investment, free, transparent, devoid of some shady activities, we've improved our power sector, increased our generation. There will be ease of doing business for manufacturers and people who are into production. First, if you have steady and regular power supply, your cost of production will reduce by half. Given the fact that you already source for alternative source of power, it increases cost of production. So if the power sector is well and massively taken care of, business will thrive. Secondly, back to the petroleum industry, we also look at that area, liberalize it, let there be fair and free market economy for market forces to determine price. Price will also drop on its own naturally because of healthy competition. Before you talk of road networks, you talk of security, which is very, very important, security of lives and property, because whoever that is coming to invest his money first needs that assurance that if he or she comes to this place, something negative does not happen to him first, even before his investment.
All right, but then when we talk about some sectors that are not as effective as they should be, or we say the government should privatize it, like you talked about the refineries now, or sell it off so that we have people who are business minded to actually carry out these activities that we're carrying, which you think they would do better. So when you talk about power now, would you say that power has not been privatized?
See, the only thing they privatize is still the distribution, not generation. You know, power has processes. Phases. We have the generation, distribution, generation, transmission, and distribution. That's why they still have the TCN, who is the transmission company of Nigeria. They still have the generation where they generate. They only sell to the discos, which are the distribution.
So you think the distribution is not where the problem is?
The problem is not distribution.
Do people still have more enough competition even with the distribution?
Because those who even put up their money or put in their money, what they are saying is not what they saw from the beginning. There were a lot of gray areas that were not properly ironed out.
All right, if we say that the distribution is what was privatized and not the generation, when we talk about the issue of the increase in electricity tariff recently, who do we then hold responsible now? Is it the distributors or the federal government?
You know, there's this local parable that the same way I bought or how I bought my market is how I will sell.
Like the NNPC are doing to us. But not the NNPC,
like this distribution
the marketers.
Like this distribution companies
the marketers.
Now. If the transmission company charges them higher tariff, who feels the brunt? It's you and I, the end user.
All right, let's get your thoughts on the whole economy that's talking about the electricity we're talking about now. There are other sectors, although, but then we're looking at the electricity. Do you think that enough is not being done? Do you think enough competition is in place with the distribution now, which is said that is what we got to privatize?
I don't think enough has been done in that area, per se. But be it as it may, we cannot overemphasize the importance of electricity, of power in any economy. There's a place I went to this week, and they said I don't know how they measure this. Is it 4 units? Is it unit? It's per unit. They said they get 4 units of 4 units in their prepaid meter for 1,000 naira. And you can imagine what a businessman will be doing with 4 units. Now let's do the calculation now. How many units does it need? Okay, if you're using your iron, like okay, for a tailoring shop, for instance, you need to iron into your electric machine and all those things. And maybe you get a job which you charge the person that brings the material. You charge the person 8,000 or 10,000 to so, and you're buying electricity for that job for 4,000. No. You look at where the problem is now. When you do that now, you buy other materials. By the time you finish the job, you see that you spend the whole money without coming up with anything. How will that business thrive in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year? That's what we're talking about. The tariff has been the hike in the tariff is affecting business, and I think we cannot levy it only on the distribution company, because like you said, how I buy That's how I will sell. So how they got it, that's how they are distributing. And if they are giving it at the higher price, they will also levy it on the consumers, who will not pay for their expenses.
Who will the consumers then levy it on?
Exactly, and that is the problem.
Oh, the consumers, we are the business people, will put it on their customers at the end of the day.
On their customers, exactly. Now they put it on the customers, and everything still goes back.
And you use tailoring. Seems you patronize these guys a lot.
Yeah, because I was there in one of the shops, and I observed how the thing is being run, and I was like, 1,000 for 4 units. Even easy to, before you iron a clothes, 2 clothes, you've done with that. Wow. And you want to imagine how would this person, if a job comes in, how would they survive? That's just electricity bill alone. That's your electricity bill. What about other bills?
And the multiple taxation that comes into these stores.
The thing is that I know that there's the government, in terms of we recognize big businesses, but sometimes economy are driven by these small businesses, and we are not doing much for them at all, because I know that these big businesses, their level of, if you come up with a new idea, there's level of tax of freedom you're giving to operate for some period of time. And even if they start taxing you, it comes with some kind of incentive as well. But for this small business, those that rely on this the power to operate, what instead are they giving them? What are they doing for them to lessen the burden of this high power tariff?
So what do you think should be done in this case?
A whole lot should be done. First, there should be some kind of tax holiday for businesses, waiver for young businesses, so that by the time they find their feet, they start paying. But cost of production is something that's really killing small-scale business. Not just taxes, but cost of production. By the time you talk of rent and others. So it's something that they need to do, and it must be a holistic approach. But everything still boils down to power.
Let us go to the House of Representatives Committee now. The House of Representatives Committee on Health Institutions has promised to put an end to medical tourism and attract development of the health sector in the country. The Chairman, House Committee on Health Institutions, Honorable Amos Magaji, made the promise when he led members on an oversized visit to the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital in Gwagwalada on Friday. Magaji, who commended President Bola Tinubu for declaring a state of emergency on health, also promised to change the analog attitude and approach to the administration of health, amongst many others in Nigeria's health sector, to a digitized era. Magaji said, "We will not announce our visits. We will improve our oversight functions in the hospital. So be ready to see more of us going forward. We'll just appear to find out what's going on here. We're not going to tell you we are coming." Is this a step to putting an end to the brain drain that was mentioned in the health sector?
This is, for me, well, they say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a footstep.
Baby steps.
A footstep. And it depends on the direction.
Does it matter the step, whether it's baby step or...
No, what I mean is the right step. Well, first thing is to take a step.
Okay.
But another thing is also to
step.
take the step in the right direction.
Even though they are
You
baby
can't
steps.
ask me now that I'm going to Uniport from here. Ordinarily, I'm supposed to move left. But if I turn right, getting towards this other side, that means my journey might take time. Because I followed or I approach it from the wrong direction.
Yeah, wrong direction.
So visit, routine visit for me,
Yes.
is just one of the most minute thing to do. Do you visit a moribund place? Do you visit a place that you have not invested? The only place you visit, they say where a man puts his heart where his money is. So by the time they have invested massively, such visits will now protect their investments. It puts the people working there on their toes, knowing that these people are coming to check what they have put in place and how it's being used.
That's actually what happened in that scenario.
Yes. So it's a welcome development, but they still need massive investment in the health sector so that medical tourism will be discouraged.
Right.
Because their major aim is to discourage medical tourism. It costs a lot of capital flight because we move capital and funds abroad. And most of these treatments is that you even pay up front before getting there. Because these are part of the things that will even guarantee you a visa. No embassy gives you a visa when you have not paid for your medical trip.
All right, Barrister, how do you see this story? Do you see this as a step towards putting an end to medical tourism in Nigeria?
Well, will it put an end to it? I doubt. But it nonetheless is a good thing. It's what the economy needed, because those that are intended to that intends to put to end this medical tourism, they are the major perpetrators of it. They are the major people going on a medical tourism. They are the major people, because it's not me with my level of income. Why do I need to go to America for treatment? But they do these things. They do this thing. That is why I think to some extent that is why our medical sector is the way it is. Because if a person like the Senate President or the Speaker of the House of Rep seek medical attention in Nigeria, I think that will facilitate policies to put health sector in a limelight, put it in a good shape. So if they want to, they thought of going on a visit, on impromptu visit, unannounced visit to places to checkmate what they are doing, is good. It's good, but is that the problem? That's not the problem. We have several.
That's not the problem.
That's not the problem. The problem is there's massive reduction of staffs, medical personnel in our hospitals. And you go to hospital before you get attendant, before you hear stories. People go to hospital before a doctor can even see them. They pass on. Now, these are the issues. You go to some rural areas, the hospitals are void of any drug or equipment for medical operation, medical work. And you want to visit, what have you done? I know that over the years, the government have tried to see that there's reduction on the way health practitioners leave the country. Because of what they are seeing in the hospitals, what they have in the hospital is not enough for them to do their job. And it come to, I think there's this proposed strike by medical doctors, but I think it has been aborted. Why? Yes. They're talking about salary. They are poor infrastructure in the hospital and all that. And these are the issues. So if your visit is geared toward improving the state of the health sector, or providing more infrastructure, also increasing the number of practitioners in the country at a particular clinic or hospital, that is a welcome thing. It's something we all want to see, because as I am, I'll be glad if I can go to a hospital and within 10 minutes I'm out, because everything I went there for, I've checked the thing. There are machines, there are personnel to attend to me, and everything is done smoothly. Because in that way you reduce our, what do they call it?
Medical tourism.
Medical tourism, and also you increase our life expectancy.
Okay.
Because when the health sector is in good shape, life expectancy increases.
All right. So talking about going to the hospital and leaving that same day, you know, there's this belief that if you want to go to a federal hospital, just prepare yourself. It's like going to the fuel station now. Just have it in mind that you're sleeping there that day, because if you have other things you want to do in the next 2 hours, the fact you clear your day,
exactly,
know that you are going to that. But that's not really how it should be.
Yes, exactly. That's not how it's, because that is why we have emergencies in hospital, because there are situations where someone needs urgent attention. And when the hospitals are the way they are, with the low level of personnel, medical personnel, and equipment, you see that recurring every now and then. So if their visit, their policy is to actually improve it, because medical tourism per se is an idea to me. For me, it's an idea. It only exists in my head because I don't. Yes, but for them, it's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's not for me. A layman will not understand that medical tourism of a team.
People that travel out for medical care.
What a layman wants is that he goes to the hospital, he looks for drugs, he gets his drugs.
Do they even go to the hospital in the first place? A lot of people don't go to the hospital.
They are awareness because
they just go to the chemist in quotes.
Exactly, because of
mixture.
But there are some ailments you still need to get to the hospital.
Exactly.
Yes. But also know there are certain ailments that ordinarily all you need to do, locate the closest medical lab, run your test, go to a good pharmacy. Any pharmacy, most of the pharmacies these days, they even have in-house doctors.
Yes.
They look at the result and they give you prescription. Even abroad, that's how they do.
Yeah.
You run your test, you go there with your result, they give you prescription. By the time they give you prescription, you go to the pharmacy, get your medication, and you're good to go.
Sometimes some of these hospitals will give you, when you complain, they'll send you to a laboratory outside the hospital. Yes. So you still go to a laboratory and then you come back, a doctor will interpret and still send you back to the pharmacist. But then you talked about we not having enough staff, right? Mm-hmm. It will interest you to know that we have a lot of graduates from this sector that are unemployed.
Okay.
Some few days ago, I was discussing with a friend of mine who is a senior civil servant. And we were actually talking, and he got to tell me that some persons have already retired from the civil service. Some lost their life. And those positions have been vacant. They have not been
filled up.
Because I was telling them that in the civil service, they are actually overstaffed. He said no, that every year people get to retirement age. Mm-hmm. And as they are retiring, no one is coming in.
Who's replacing them? And yet we have a lot of people who are unemployed. We have a lot of people who are unemployed. That begs the question, how do you even balance this?
The thing is that...
for me, the only thing that can balance this is a need assessment and audit. Because once you carry out a need assessment, the next thing you need to do is to carry out a personnel audit. By the time you carry that personnel audit, especially in workplace, yes, you know who is where, who is not there, and you know what we need. You fill in the vacant space.
Mm. But then we need more thing,
also, if you're also employ somebody that you will engage. Because some people are actually employed, they are not engaged.
Yes.
There are some senior officials doing the work of 5, 6, 7 persons.
Yet we have people in those positions.
Because they don't want people to know what is happening within that. Yeah, of course.
Wait, we've been complaining of needing more hands in civil service, that they are understaffed. And you're saying that some people just enjoy the vacancies that are available as long as they can do the whole job.
No problem, we're public domain.
But then let's go back to the medical sector now, and the fact that we have a lot of people who are out of school as graduates, mm-hmm, and then there's no job, and then there are vacancies. And then another thing that makes it us need more staff is some of these hospitals that are in rural areas.
Exactly.
Come to talk about the health sector. Mm. You know, we have the primary health sector, mm-hmm, the secondary health facility, and the tertiary health facility. In the primary health care, little or nothing has been done before we even move to the secondary. I know it's not every ailment that you run to a tertiary.
Exactly.
And part of the things why we have high traffic in those tertiary hospital is because of the failure of the primary health sector.
Exactly.
So some ailments are supposed to be taken care of at the
primary
level. Either they have been left to degenerate, and by the time it degenerates, by the time they get to the secondary and they refer them to tertiary because it's beyond them.
Yes.
A stitch in time saves 9. There are some ailments, as soon as you notice it, you nip it in the bud. Mm-hmm. But because of the bad economy, bad culture,
bad culture, yes.
Bad economy, bad culture, and lack of information and awareness. Some people, they allow certain ailments to degenerate. A lot of people are hypertensive. A lot of people have high sugar. Why? Because they have neglected the culture of testing. Before you know, somebody drops it, they say it's attack. What form of attack?
Spiritual attack.
Negligence.
Negligence. It's true.
All right, we hope
So
that
on
people
that
will be more
area,
informed.
they should invest massively in the primary health sector. By the time you invest, equip the places. You post a doctor and nurses. Then make the place conducive for them to stay around that area with adequate security.
That's another thing.
Well equipped, and also enough staff and access to medicines on regular basis, so that by the time you come, they diagnose, they treat.
Because we hear about some doctors, some health professionals who are posted to some of these primary healthcare centers and they don't stay.
Because the place is not conducive.
It's not equipped.
Exactly.
They feel like they're not doing anything. You go to the hospital, they tell you there's no light, so we cannot do anything.
Exactly.
Mosquito nets are not available. You go to the hospital and instead of it to come back better, you come back with malaria. Like a lot of things happening in some of those are primary healthcare centers that should really be looked into. All right, so that we have more health professionals who want to stay there. We hear about people working their transfer. Like if you're sent there, you just work your transfer out of the place, and then we leave core members in some of these places, and that should actually be looked into. All right, let's look at the next story now. The Federal Ministry of Education, we're going to education now. The Federal Ministry of Education has clarified that the ministry has not stopped students who are not up to 18 years from writing the West African Senior School Certificate Examination and the National Examination Council exams, that's WAEC and NECO. The Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, clarified in Abuja on Friday while fielding questions from journalists at an event to mark the 2024 International Literacy Day. Sununu said that the minister was actually speaking on the 18 years of entry age into tertiary institution as practiced in the 6334 system of education. We know there are exceptions of talented students that have the IQ of an adult at the age of 6 and 7, but there must be a rule. And the ministry is looking at developing a guideline on how to identify these children so that parents don't say that, oh, we are blocking their children's chances. Nobody said no child will write WAEC or NECO or any other examination unless at age 18. This is a misconception and misinterpretation of what has been said. That's what he said. That's the Sununu now. On his part, the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education, Professor Simon Akpama, reaffirmed the Commission's dedication to integrating multilingual education into schools' literacy programs. I don't know if you heard the time when the Minister of Education actually made the statement.
I heard it.
Okay.
And I was like, why do they want to put us on the reverse gear? A child that finishes secondary school at 15 or 16, in fact 15, there are some children that finishes at 15 based on when you enter, your time of entrance, and if you decide to pull your child out from the 5th grade without allowing that child get to the 6th grade. There are some gifted children, even from the 4th grade, they apply for common entrance. But for me, the ideal time is the 5th grade, not just the 4th grade. I'm not a proponent of the 4th grade. I still prefer the 5th grade. If you discover the potential in that child, and that child is a gifted child, you can let the child move. For me, I left primary school at grade 5. I left primary school at grade 5. So if you discover that a child is sound, is intelligent, allow him to try. Even when we're in secondary school, there are some children, even before they get to final year, they start writing GC before their main exam. And if such a child, you write as an external candidate GC, and you combine your papers as at when you're graduating, you have cleared your paper, and you write JAM, nothing stops that child. Because the worst thing that will happen to a parent is to truncate the growth of a child. If you truncate that growth, there's some form of impediment and impairment which will affect the child in the future. So once you discover that potential in your child as a parent, all you need to do is to encourage the child and not to discourage. So I don't see any reason why government will bring out this kind of policies. If any child has the potential, has what it takes, he should be left to compete with people who are even 20 that has stunted their development. It's not the fault of the child that child is intelligent.
All right, yes, let's hear from you, Barrister.
The thing is that I think the policy, I don't see anything wrong with the policy because though he cleared it that it's not about the writing of the WAEC, it's about entering the institution, and which to me I think makes sense because a school education, especially higher education, is not all about brilliance. It takes a lot of emotional maturity to be able to cope in that environment. And if a child of not up to the age of 18 gets in there, that child is naive, can be tossed to and fro by any group, people, and all that, takes wrong decision. So I think to that extent, they may be right. They are right. But when it comes to the WAEC, he just clear that the age bracket of 18 is not for those writing WAEC. That you can write WAEC. If a child is brilliant and he can write WAEC, let him write his WAEC. Let him write it. But when it comes to entering high institution, it is another level of maturity, not just brilliance. You can be brilliant, but you're not emotionally mature, kind of to withstand the kind of pressure and all that, and also able to navigate in terms of decision making to help you scale to. Because you see some people, they are very brilliant, but when they get to school, they take bullied, take wrong decision, and you see them frustrated.
All right, I would like you to come in here.
In that area, for me, you know, the Bible says if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? This area has to do with parenting and upbringing. If you have the right upbringing and parenting, as a parent, you make your child your friend. You educate that child. You instill certain virtues and let that child know certain vices. You know, if a child, you tell your child or children certain things at home, there's nothing an outsider will tell them that will convince them. It's only when you fail to tell your children certain things at home and another outsider tells them on the contrary, they will believe. So everything has to do with foundation and upbringing. If children are properly groomed, trained at home, there are certain, even for me as a person, before I got into the university, there are certain virtues that were instilled in me. And when I got to the university, there's no way you tell me something contrary because I already had a mind of my own. And there are certain things I didn't do, no matter the level of peer pressure and peer influence. So saying that for that 18 years, it's okay. But a child also who is 16 that has been groomed, mentored, and tutored at home can also compete favorably. And when he gets to an environment, you tell him certain things, he say, no, this is not what I heard, this is not what I've read.
No, he's talking about emotional intelligence. Yes.
Because
being able to thrive in the face of pressure.
There are children.
And these challenges that come with
there are children. The basic problem is that most parents, they have failed to make their children their friends. They have failed. That's why I say we have so many failed families. And part of the problem the society is having today is as a result of failed family, where mother is going, father is going, children are left in the hand of strange people.
So early.
So if you have that time for your children, there are some things you tell your child today, and somebody comes to tell that child something contrary. Say, no, this is what my mommy says. This is what my daddy told me. This is what I've heard. This is what...
And then for what you have stated now, what is the guarantee that because a child is 18 years, you have enough emotional stamina to face tertiary institutions and the environment you have created?
Yes, conventionally, you know, we see 18 as an age for adulthood. You know, there are certain responsibility a person cannot be committed to if he has not reached 18 years. So I think they use that as a yardstick for that. But again, he mentioned that there are talented children who can master these things who can do these things, even who have the mind of an adult in them. But the problem that he identifies is that what are the measures to identify these children?
Is that the parents' fault that there are no measures to identify them?
No, it's not the parents' fault because the thing is that first of all, like you said, where parents have failed in this area as well, but just that this is it has to be empirical tested as well, because a parent might say, okay, my child reasons with me and is mature. That's not enough, because when it gets to people that he doesn't know, how does he interface with them? Now he has formed a kind of a bond with you, and he has understood you, so he can as well talk to you, reason with you. But when it gets to the public, now his level of cognition of what is happening around him and able to navigate his path righteously is another thing. So the minister is saying that though there are gifted people who even not up to 18, they can, universities can, but it's just that what measure is asking now that they need to find a method, a way of identifying these people, because you know that in the midst of 100 there are certain 10, 20 talented people. How do you fish them out and give them that exception? That is what he's saying.
Like me now, I beg to differ with you in one area. It's not just about talking to your child.
Okay.
If you make your child your friend, at some point, who are you start talking about their friends in school.
Okay.
You find out any name that has become more of a recurrent decimal. Make out time. See those children. The problem we have is that most parents do not have time. Make out time, see those children. At that early age, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Let them interact. That way, if you see anyone with questionable or strange character as a parent, you can know. And you can now tell your child, see this person, I don't want to see you with so person. At that point, you start. And you let them know why you don't want them to be with such person. You know, children of these days are very curious. There are some children, you will tell something, they will ask you why. That why is not that they are challenging you.
Exactly.
But they want you to convince them beyond reasonable doubt.
Exactly. No, it's true. It's true. And again, you know, what you said now used to be obtainable. But it can still be obtainable now, but it used to be obtainable then when parents have this genuine interest in who their children work with, be with. But today, like you said, there's no time. They've neglected that responsibility. And again, the advent of technology has made it difficult for you to actually know you your friends interacting with. Because you may not see the person physically, but they are chatting with the person, you know, often on phone.
I also attended the program. I think that should be last week. I also saw the video except a child was asking the parents, when last did you check our books? When last did you check our phones?
Exactly.
When last did you come into our room, check our wardrobe? In fact, the topic of that talk was when last.
When last, okay.
Well, sometimes you just bump into your child, check the phone.
Check it.
You are the parent, you bought the phone. So you have access. If the child has password, say remove the password. You just bump into them and you instill that discipline in them. I grew up in an environment when we were much younger. Where are you going to? Adecom. Adecom is not an address.
Exactly.
That's what my mom will always tell you.
Yes.
I am coming is not an address. Where are you going to?
Exactly. It's true.
All right, would we say that our parents are paying this much attention these days to their children?
No, I don't think.
You know why?
I don't think they are.
You discover now that most parents, they are seated at home, but they relate more with people outside via their phone.
Exactly.
They don't even have time anymore for their children. You see a parent who will be at home pressing phone. The mother, the father pressing phone. And a child who is known to that kind of pressing phone will become agitated and want to have his or her own phone. And they start pressing their own.
Exactly.
You see people living together but yet staying apart.
Wow. I think families should have that time of the day when everybody keeps their phone aside and probably just watch TV together, how it used to be back then. There's no how you be watching TV together and then you will not have what to talk about.
Exactly.
All right, but then for the exemption you talked about earlier, that these kids should be identified and given exemption, I don't think a lot of people would agree with that, having in mind that we have a lot of children. It's more like robbing Peter, like somebody would say, robbing Peter to people. It's not fair to the other students that might not pass that particular test to tell what, do you understand? But then they passed every other thing. They passed the WAEC, they passed the NECO, they passed the JAM, they passed the post-UTME. But because of that, whatever measure they want to put on ground to identify workers, and then you say this child is not fit.
The thing is that, honestly, it's not fair. It's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to the child. It's not fair to the parents. But such is life. The thing is that if you don't do that, you might as well not have a way to regulate the university and intakes and mode of conduct.
What happens to JAM? What happens to post-UME? What are those things for? Yes,
they'll come in as well. Now you see, those though they say they've not gotten a measure yet, they've not gotten an apparatus, a way of doing that, and I think we'll have to wait what they want to come up with, because he just made a statement, and I'm sure they want to pursue it on.
Because if you don't want the kids to get into school immediately after they're done, then you need to keep them engaged. Yes. Because you see that age is a very delicate age. They can pick up anything from the environment at that time. So that is why parents want their kids to be, engaged throughout until they're into the university. But if you say they shouldn't get into the university immediately, what measure has been put on ground to make sure that they are engaged while they are at home?
That's a good one.
That's another thing that should really be looked into.
Because if we already had industries, we had businesses that are thriving, within that age, maybe 1 or 2 years, you can send your child to learn some trade, vocation, to equip them. Whether I like it or not, the university system, we are churning out graduates that are only seeking white-collar job, seeking employment. If we have things that are thriving, businesses, maybe a child within that 2 years, before he or she gets to the university, he must have learned one vocation.
All right.
By the time you graduate from the university, it behoves on you, do I pursue a white-collar job, or this thing that I have learned, how do I do business and expand? Right. And that child, apart from becoming an employee, is already trained to become an employer.
All right, thank you so much, Kechuku, for that. But let's look at the story now. Mr. Lanre Popular, Chairman, Southwest Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, said the difficulty in the operations of manufacturers has been worsened by the recent fuel pump price increase. Now, before we go, we talked earlier about businesses making it easier, but then we focus on electricity. But then this fuel pump price, is affecting a lot of sectors. And now the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has come out to tell us how it is affecting them. We know that a lot of foreign business owners have left the shores of Nigeria. In fact, when we looked at the statistics, it was so outrageous that at a point I said, I don't believe the statistics, is too much, it's unbelievable. You understand? So if we now have the manufacturers who are currently in Nigeria having, aside the difficulties and challenges that are already on ground, we're looking at increase in fuel pump price again as another one. Let's talk about coming out of this.
Well, like you pointed out that a lot of companies have left Nigeria. You're very correct. Based on my work experience, I work in an advertising regulatory firm, and I also work with some advertising practitioners. Most of their clients have left the shores of Nigeria because of high costs of manufacturing and production. So what the Southwest chairman is saying about the cost of production is very correct, without any iota of doubt or sentiment. First, production, after production, distribution, you need power to produce. If you don't have power, you need alternative source of power. Then in distribution, for vehicular movement of those things from your factory to your
warehouse,
or to even the buyer,
the market.
Most of these companies that manufactures, they also take it to the buyers, and to their doorstep they buy and they pay. So the even cost of
moving this thing.
Cost of moving has increased, and you factor it into your cost of production, and your cost of production determines your price.
All right.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is correct, cannot be overemphasized. The only thing now is what is the way out of this doldrum.
Yes, let's talk about the way out.
The thing is that I think an immediate reversal is what is needed right now. Reversal. The pump price should be reversed back to at least the way it was because we are beginning to get accustomed to it already.
Wow.
Before this one. Yeah, though it wasn't easy, but we are beginning to manage. Adjustment have been done to manage the hike already, the previous hike. So this one now that has come now is the effect is much. Yesterday on the news, proprietors of school, they were complaining, even parents, because their children will be going back to school, and sometimes they pay these buses, school buses, to bring them back and all that. And now with the hike in petrol now, how would that be? How would you talk of school fees? You're talking of school fees here. You're talking about transport fare for the buses, and even if you don't want to pay the buses on your own to take your child to school, you need fuel. To pay commercial motor to bring your child from school or take to school, you need money because of the hike in fuel, and everything has increased. So they were agitating that this thing is too much. In fact, right now they were even talking about homeschooling their children or their ward. Yeah, because that's the level it is getting to if there is no reversal of this thing. So we're playing with the government to reverse this thing.
Yeah,
and reverse it.
You know, there are long-term and short-term measures. Reversal is a short and temporary measure. The long-term measure of this, like I said, is to open up the economy. When I mean open up the economy, let people who know how to do this business. Let people have what it takes to do this business. Let people who have the capacity to do this. Let them enter into this business. Government should not hold it as if it's a sacred thing.
All right. Okay, so that's actually what should be looked into. We should take it to the primary cause, that is the root cause, why we try to cut off the leaves from the tree. We should also go to the root of that tree. Let's go to the last story now. You know, we talked about the parents and children relationship. This is a highlight. 14-year-old boy has been charged with killing 4 people in a U.S. high school shooting, while his father faces manslaughter charges. We had reports on this one. And then Colin Gray, 54, is facing multiple charges, including 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. His son, Colt Gray, a 14-year-old student, is accused of using an AR-style rifle to kill 2 students and 2 teachers in an attack that took place on Wednesday at the Apalachee High School in southern state of Georgia. 7 others, including 6 students and a teacher, were shot and injured, while 2 additional students sustained non-gunshot related injuries, authorities confirmed. The teenager faces 4 counts of felony murder, according to charges documents obtained by newsmen, and the GBI and Barrow County Sheriff's Office has stated that he is expected to be tried as an adult. This latest school shooting, occurring just weeks into the new academic year, marks the 45th such incident in the U.S. this year alone, and the most devastating since the March 2023 shooting at the Covenant School in Nashville, that's where 6 people were killed. So this has been reoccurrent in the United States. But then, what caught my attention with this story was where it was stated that this was actually given to this boy as a gift. A holiday gift. Who gives a gun to a child as a gift?
Well, for me, you know, the best way to do or to treat cancer, it's not just chemotherapy, it's surgery. You cut off before you talk of the chemotherapy stage. A psychopathic and psychiatric analysis and tests need to be conducted on the boy, his father. If he has other siblings, they should also conduct such tests on him. They know their friends, close friends, and relations that relates with them within that circle, and also subject them to such tests. And they should also be on kind of close watch close monitoring so that they don't replicate. That's one. Secondly, the school system also, I think, is an eye-opener for them that they should look inward. Subject children to daily search. When you have some form of metal scanner in school, as the child is passing through, check if there's any object inside that bag, and you open it up. You don't just, because this now it's serving as an eye-opener. A child does not just come to school in the morning with the bag and whatever, you just check that. Like I always say, information gathering is the best way to fight crime and criminality, and not crime fighting. Me, I don't believe in fighting crime. I believe so much in intelligence gathering. By the time you gather the intelligence and the information, you can identify potential flashpoints, potential people who are prone to this attack, and you keep an eye on them.
All right, what about you?
Since is quite an appalling one, and like you said, I think I boil it down to the father, because there's a level of, I don't think that the man is, I don't know how stable he is to give a gun, a live gun to a child of 14 years, and I think they say he gave the boy last year December. Probably the boy was around 13 that time when he gave the boy that gun. And you give a boy, people are giving their children a toy gun, and you give your child, what do you expect? So that's why I'm not surprised that they are charging the man for involuntary manslaughter, because that is, he failed to do, in fact, at some point, he is an accomplice to that. Because when you give a child of a weapon, what do you expect him to do with it? Of course, it can hurt people. So there's that indirect intention already created when you give a live gun to a child. So the man being arraigned and therefore for charges is okay. They should try him, and in fact, he should, because I think that boy, though we know that when it comes to criminal justice, a child who has committed a capital offense as this will not be shielded by this what do they
that he'll be tried as an adult.
Exactly. He will try that shield of juvenile court has eluded him. So he will try as an adult. He will come to court and he will face whatever. But just that, I don't know how their justice system is. There over a year, he may not be sentenced. It will be kept at the pleasure of the governor or the president. But I don't know how the justice system is over there. But bringing the father in at the pleasure of the governor to determine what to do with him. But it will not be, yes, that is what they do.
But we have kids in don't we have a juvenile prison or correctional center for children?
Yes, that one is for lesser offenses, but not for murder offense or a capital offense. This boy is charged with a murder. So
for lesser offenses, you lock the kids up.
When you're not up to 17,
you lock them up.
You don't. It depends on what the governor wants or what the president wants.
Okay, so everybody passes through that. Everybody gets that privilege of the governor or the president deciding.
Yes. When you're not.
Yes,
up
when
to,
you're not less. When you're not up to 18.
17. When you're not up to 17,
okay.
Yes, it's 17. So that is, I don't know how theirs is over there, but that is what is practiced here in Nigeria. But again, my interest in that story is the hoping in of the father, because I mean, that is not parenting. That's not parenting. That is the decadence we are seeing in the society, when a father, I don't know what gave him that impression to give a child. There are things to give kids, not gun. But what will he do? If somebody provoke him, he will definitely use it on the person, because at that stage, like when we're talking about emotional intelligence, he is not yet mature enough to handle certain emotion. So you want to lash out at every slight provocation. That is what happened there.
When we look at the parent-children relationship, I know we mentioned earlier that parents should be closer to their children and all of that. But then, even when you're close to your child, what example are you even portraying to the child? Because it doesn't just end at being close to the child and being friends with the child. Even, are you even a good influence as a friend to that child?
As a parent, like I always tell people, parenting is all encompassing. Apart from the fact that you provide for their children, you also need to mentor them. And mentorship takes a lot. The only way you mentor people is you lead by example. So like I said, most parents, apart from the fact, you also need to mentor your children.
Okay.
If you mentor your children properly, like your children now say, oh, I want to be a medical doctor, I want to be a lawyer like my dad. Why?
Exactly.
Because that parent has provided an example, leadership example for that child.
Exactly.
And that child will always be making reference to the parent. Because that parent has provided a very wonderful leadership quality, which the child has seen. So that's why as parents we must be very careful what we do, say and act before our children.
And we should also be careful when we're choosing parents for our children. When you're choosing a mother for your child and when you're choosing a father for your child, we should also be careful. Because most people don't see marriage like that. They don't see marriage as, oh, I'm about to choose a father for my son, or I'm about to choose a mother for my daughter.
Well, how can I respond to that?
Because I saw it looked like you were itching to say something. That's why I quickly brought you in.
I think it is important. Now you're taking us to the institution of marriage.
When you talk about family, there's no how you can talk about family
without marriage.
Without talking about marriage.
Exactly, is important.
So you agree to that school of thought?
Yes, I think I agree. I agree to it. I agree to it because, but again, agreeing to it doesn't mean that we want to be tribalistic. We want to be, how did they put it? Want to bring in certain form of discrimination because we want to per se pick a suitable father or a suitable mother for our kids. You know, that is where the thin line one ought to draw in that way, because when you want to do that, there are a lot of things that will interplay, so you don't find yourself being tribalistic or being discriminatory in your choice. I mean, unfairly, because you will say, I want my kids to have to grow up in my community, to live within my community. You're being tribalistic in that aspect, but though it's fair, because everything
works
is
for
fair.
anybody.
Yes. What you said,
as long as you're not doing it unfairly.
Choosing a mother for your children or choosing a father for your children, I think that's where courtship comes into play. You look at the person's, because whatever you see today determines tomorrow. You check the person's temperance or temperament. It matters a lot.
All right.
But the thing, when it comes to the man may be okay individually, but when it comes to being together, it's another ball game.
That's during courtship.
The compatibility.
What are you doing? Are you not together? Are you apart?
Well, the thing is that courtship is limited, and it has shown that in
yes, but
what is happening.
People have always said that there are always traces of the real character, even during courtship. But a lot of people shut their eyes to it.
The thing is that would you blame them?
Okay, so we'll go deep into marriage and relationships some other time. But right now, we need to wrap things up. Thank you so much, Barrister Joshua, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate your analysis. All right, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. This is where we get to wrap things up on this episode of Atlantic Sunday. Remember to stay connected with us on all of our ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, at Atlantic TV Network 1 and on X at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you once again for watching. I am Enidoye Jackson. Coming up next is Open Air. Please stay with us.